So, welcome to some moments of storytelling and sharing. The very moment human beings could communicate in some way, they sat in circle and shared. Shared about the news, where the tiger has been seen, what they have done, and how it's tasted. And it expanded into real storytelling, invented, once upon a time, these things. Underlying is a general curiosity about what has happened, how are you? This kind of, tell me, when did it begin? Who was involved? Who was there? Something like that. And that is what we do today. See, life is a process. It's like a film. So there is never a beginning, like in a film, But you always have a kind of diving into as a process. You kind of open a door, and that is always a first scene. All of a sudden, something is happening. And there is no question how had it become to that. It's just important. That's the scene, that's the entrance, and for some idea it's somehow meaningful for the rest. So the first scene, like that. Okay. It began 93. When Helga and myself moved to Plum Village, for whatever reason, first scene. We were about 50 and had this grand vision of now a new phase in our life. And the characteristic of that is a contemplative life, with lots of awareness and mindfulness and meditation and transformation and healing until we finally are liberated by all suffering. Okay. So that was the idea. After we had settled for about a week, Sister Chankong, most of you would know by name at least. She had been the director of Plum Village and still is. She approached us and said, come with me, I'll show you something. So we drove up the hills into the vineyards for some kilometers and stopped by a small old farmhouse, rather ruined and rotten. And she just pointed to that and said, someone has donated that to us. German like you. And I want you to restore that. Until you have time until mid of July when the summer opening is happening. So we had about 2.5, 3 months for the whole thing. And then she drove off. And we looked at each other and said, that's the way it's done here. Okay, so let's do it. And we restored the building with 6 rooms for about 14 people. Each room unheard of so far in Plum Village, with bathroom, each room with bathroom, with real beds, really proper ones, wooden floors, small kitchen for breakfast, and a dining room. And before we began, or somewhere in the middle of it, the one who had donated that came, and we had a meeting, and that is what I found as a photo. That is actually the essence of the first scene. Here is Karl Schmidt, and he had donated that together with a dear friend of him, Vietnamese, living in Munich. And here, the two of us. This later would become the dining room, and that was the window for the kitchen, and here already the gas for the burners. And that was the beginning. The beginning of a new phase, because we were allowed by Thai and the community to take care. We were allowed to be the hosts in the summer opening for 4 weeks.
You didn't mention the meditation hall.
Yeah, wait. Yeah. Sorry. It was so this was an old building here. And here you see a kind of a small garage or barn or something next to it. There was a meditation hall. So everything enough, the kind of a breakfast room and the meditation hall for all of us. And so for the summer opening for 4 weeks, and then for Christmas, New Year, we led a small lay community. We were not trained into that. So we were just kind of, as you say, thrown into the water. Had to organize food and everything. Though for the lunch and for dinner, we all went to the upper hamlet. But then slowly we learned to guide meditations and have Dharma discussions, and in winter especially. We did that for 3 years. It was a great, great practice time for us. And I remember the general meeting with Thai before the next summer opening, that was in '96. I said to him, Thai, I do think we have done that now for 3 years and it's enough now, someone else should do that. And he smiled and said, that's what I wanted to say to you. Okay. But then, '97, they had to remove all the nuns from the lower hamlet for some legal reason. And so the two of us, together with another Vietnamese sister, a friend or Dharma teacher, lay, Tin Tui, the three of us were responsible for the first and the only lay hamlet ever in the history of Plum Village. So the lower hamlet for 1 year was a lay community, and the three of us were responsible for that, for everything. Meditations, Dharma discussions, and then a proper hamlet with cooking and everything. That was the next step in the training. And we learned to organize a small community. We learned to live in harmony as good as possible with Italians and French and Jewish and Americans and 2 Germans. So it was actually a great time. And as I again say, we did not have any training. Nobody showed us precisely what to do. Nobody gave us lists of to do, you know. Nobody showed us what to buy and what not to buy. This is a typical Asian way. You live with something, you learn by doing, and after a while, you know. It's quite different than a Western approach. I remember 97, Thai had a very special event. He always liked this, at that time, this kind of drama things, you know. And so he enthroned the new abbot. So in Upper Hamlet, Tai Wang Hai, in New Hamlet then, this was where the nuns moved, Sister Diniam and Helga. So Helga was considered to be the abbot of the lay practice center for 1 year. Then Thai moved all the nuns back and we again sat at the back. That was something I then discussed with Karl. He came very often to Plum Village and we had a really good relationship. I said, Karl, you know, and he said, I know. You know, I wouldn't do that. Let me think. And that was in the summer opening, 98. And in winter, for Christmas, he came back and said, I have an idea. We'll have a practice center in Germany. But it's only possible when you come, because you have now the experience. You're the only ones who have experience. You have lived here, you have guided, you had been responsible already, you know, and for some reason, nobody knows why, you like to live in the community already almost 6 years. To be very precise, I will not live there, Karl. He had a house somewhere in Upper Bavaria. In Germany it's called a villa. You know what that is? A little bit more than one room. And he said, I will not live in a community, that's clear. But it has to be rather close so that I can come for the weekend, you know, just some hours. And it needs to be an area where it's not so expensive to buy, because Upper Bavaria is really, really expensive. But this part here was the rather underdeveloped area in Germany because of Russian border. It's over there on the hills, or had been. The Iron Curtain had been. You could see it from here. We shared that idea with Thai. And he said, no, you stay. I don't let you go. And Karl, a really, really good friend of Thai, insisted a little bit, and then Thai, after some weeks, said, well, okay, 50%. 50% in Plum Village, 50% in Germany. And then I said, no. No, Thai, that doesn't make sense. You either do something or you don't. You know, you cannot split up, then you're not really somewhere. And I remember when he came into our room after some weeks and said, okay. I don't really like that, but okay, you go. And so, 99, we packed our stuff and drove over to here. So 98, we had kind of a similar situation with Karl. When in the beginning of 98, that was this sharing with Thai. Karl had to find a place, and his wife, Ilona, researched and looked around and found this place. And so we flew over 98, spring 98, to here, just to say yes or no. Kind of a similar situation. This building was deserted for many years. It was given up, and it needed to be restored. Not like this one, you know. But anyway, it was clear work had to be done. But nevertheless, we came up here, and being here, we said yes. So that was the next step, the next scene. Yeah. From that, restoring a building from the scratch to do something, being responsible for a community, just on a greater level. So in 1999 we moved in here. For 1 year a worker had restored the building. We had been here several times and had overlooked the work and said this needs to be done, that needs to be done, this should be done this way, that should be done that way. And 1999, in February, we came here and had 2 other friends who were committed or at least happy or whatever the vision was to start with us. So we sat in the big dining room with the 4 and did our contemplation and ate in mindfulness. And we sat here and had our meditation and did every day our walking meditation. Whatever was the practice, we did it right away. And slowly, slowly, people joined. For a certain period of time, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. So people came, left, others came, left. And all the time we stayed. Whatever had come and who had come and for whatever reason, often we didn't even know why they are coming. They just come. They were invited. We found something meaningful for them to do, at least from our point of view, meaningful. They decided after a while it was enough meaning and they left. And we stayed. And we are still staying. So it's a kind of a short movie, isn't it? But it began in Plum Village. It began here, at this ruin in southern France, where we had the chance to be responsible for a small bunch of people, lay people, where we had to take care of them, where we learned. We're deeply appreciated by the community and especially by Thai. And then stepped up to here. In the beginning there was a very deep connection with the community in Plum Village in Thai. We were considered as almost part of Plum Village still, in the same way as the other communities or hamlets in America. That was Green Mountain, or what the name?
Forgot the name.
Up in north, where Sister Changkong, Sister Chanduk.
Maple Forest.
No.
Maple Forest.
Maple Forest.
Dharma Center and Maple Forest.
Yes, okay. So for New Year's Eve, we were all connected by telephone. It was an adventure, technical adventure, you know. It never really worked, but at least we had the feeling we are connected. And we always heard Thai kind of asking, how are you doing over there? Helga, Karl, how are you doing? You know, tell us. and we told. That too faded slowly because the community over there grew, and so we got disconnected in this way, in this technical way, but still we had always been connected to Plum Village and are still considered to be practitioners in the tradition. I think that's it. And as you know, all these stories, they go on. Life goes on. The funny thing in all these films, there is a happy end. Most of them. And if they had not died, they are still happy to live, something like that. So, we wonder how this film is ending. And hopefully with a happy end. It should be. We had been supported, as Tai always said, by the Bodhisattvas in an amazing way. In such an amazing way where we had the impression nothing is happening anymore. Now it's kind of an end, And then someone turned up and showed up and helped, came, disappeared again. Amazing thing have happened. And all this place here would not be like that with all those good spirits, good souls, all the support. And many of them had just come and supported however they could support. Just like we have really never questioned, this needs to be done, so we do it. Like Sister Chang Kong asked us, come, that's the new phase, quite different than we expected, but it has come out great.